Good evening. Merry Christmas. You know what, do me a quick favor. Look at the person right next to you and tell them, Merry Christmas. If you want to get a little bit crazy right now, look to the person on the other side of you and say, Feliz Navidad. How about on the other side, do Kala Kristuyana. Merry Christmas, church family. I can't tell you how exciting it is to see all of you in church tonight celebrating all that Jesus Christ has done and is doing and will continue to do in our life. I want to give a special shout out to all of you that are watching us live on our website or on our Saint on the Divine app. People are watching us live all over the world at this very moment. We actually have one of our church family friends that are in England, in London right now watching us, and just so you know, you can download our Saint on the Divine app. Over 1,000 people have already downloaded it. If you don't have it, you need to have it. It has all of our services, messages that we share. It has the entire Bible. You can actually listen to it in the car. It's all audio if you'd like it. So make it a point to do that. Thank you, all of you, for being here tonight. You know, before I share my message with you tonight, I just want you to know that as the pastor of this church, one thing I want you to know deep in your heart is that we are family. We are one family. And some of you may be going through challenges or maybe difficulties in your life. I want you that you can lean on us. We're not far away as leaders of our church. We're not far away or distant from it. We want you to lean on us. If you need anything at all, remember, we are in it to win it. And we are in it as a church to win what God desires for us to win. And we want you to always know this is not a membership club. This is family. So I look over at you at family and I just simply say, Merry Christmas to all of you. Well, I want to talk to you tonight about making God's dream for you come true. You know, when God created the earth, He had hopes in how we would treat each other. When God made the earth, He had aspirations of how we would care for one another. When God created the earth, He had ideas of how we would love and serve one another. He had dreams for you and for me. And as we look at the history of humanity, oftentimes, instead of us as humans fulfilling or working to fulfill that dream that Jesus Christ had in all of us, sometimes, to be quite honest with you, we fall short of what God wants. We live in a world, friends, that's very messy. If you happen to be watching a television program that had the year in review this past week, you would see that throughout the world there was chaos. We saw Christians and people of faith being killed for their faith in Syria and Iraq. Children that were killed. Families totally destroyed. We see situations in Greece right now where people are struggling to make a living. We're living in a messy world. And we see, even in our own country, violence, rape, robbery, homicide, all of these things on the rise. We're living in a messed up world. And maybe for some of you tonight, you might know people who are going through a messiness in their own life. Maybe you know people who are struggling financially. Maybe you know people who are worried about a family member who is not making good choices. Maybe tonight you have a situation where you are worried about a couple that's not going to make it through the holiday season. We are all living in a messed up world. And many times we can see this messiness in the world and we can go, wow, that's sad. I wish things were different. But we can kind of go on our way. Oh, I really feel sorry for you. You're really going through a difficult time now. But just like a news clip, the moment that news clip is over, we kind of change our mind and change our direction. Sometimes we're the same. Once that conversation is over, we're already shifting to the next thing that we have to do. But if you can get anything right about Christmas, I want you to know this. And that is that when Jesus Christ came into this world 2,000 years ago tonight, When he came into this world, he desired to change our world. And when he can change our world, he wanted to equip us so that we can change the world. You see, Jesus Christ, he too came in a messed up time so that he can empower us to bless this world. Don't go watching the problems and the messiness from a distance. Man, Jesus Christ is telling you and me tonight, don't watch from a distance. I want you to work to make a difference. And let me just share with you, let me have the birth of Jesus just come alive for you in just a few moments. Who was Augustus Caesar? This man was one of the most ruthless men to ever live. We hear about it in the gospel, but sometimes it kind of goes and comes. It's like a news clip. We just kind of change direction once we hear it. But let me tell you a little bit about Augustus Caesar. He was the emperor of the Roman Empire, the most powerful empire in the world. And when he issued an edict that every single Jew should go and register, not only were they called to register, but they were called to go pay a tax. Do you know how much that tax that Joseph and Mary were on their way, Mary on a donkey riding from Nazareth 70 miles to Bethlehem, how much that tax they were paying? It wasn't 15%. It even wasn't 30%. Augustus Caesar wanted to torture those people. And so he said the tax bracket that you, Mary, and Joseph are, no matter how much your income is, it is 90%. So when Mary and Joseph were on their way to Bethlehem, let me tell you, you think that we might have tax problems? They were at 90%. Who's Herod the Great? And why is he even mentioned? Because Herod was an interesting man. There was nothing great about King Herod. What the Romans would do at that time is that they would go and they would conquer a village or a town or a city. When they would conquer that village or town, they wouldn't bring a Roman to kind of run that area. They would bring someone from that village, and they would cause that person within that village to betray their own people. Herod came from that region. And just to give you an idea, Herod was such a ruthless man. If you don't know anything about him, research him. But Herod, what he would do is he was so fearful that people would try to conquer and take his role that he had his wife killed, one of them. Later on, he'd have 3 of his children killed. And because he knew that people hated him, that he ordered on the day that he would die to gather all of the intellectuals, all of the people who were loved in Jerusalem. They would gather them all in a stadium right there in Jerusalem, and he, at the moment that he was killed, would order told his soldiers to kill every single one of them to guarantee that people would cry at his funeral. He came in a messed up world. And who were these magi? Why were they coming? These magi, friends, they brought to Jesus 3 significant things. It's not random what they brought. They brought 3 significant things. Y'all know that what they are: gold, frankincense, and what? Gold was given only for a king. So they were coming there to give a gift only fit for a king: gold. What is frankincense? Perfume, an aroma that would go around. But they also gave him myrrh. Why did they give him myrrh? Myrrh is used to anoint someone who's sick or someone who's dead. And when those magi came there, they were saying, we are approaching the king. He is extraordinary. We're bowing before him, but we know that this God, this king, in 33 years is going to hang himself on the cross. And this myrrh, the miron, is going to be what's going to anoint baby Jesus. We live, and Jesus came into a messed up world. And the challenge that we have to do is, how are we going to respond to that messiness. Because God doesn't want us tonight just to come to a service, just to say Merry Christmas. God wants you and me tonight to shift and to change from where we were when we walked into this church to where we are right now. That Jesus Christ desires for us. Don't you dare watch from a distance the messiness in this world. I need you to make a difference in this world. And let me give you 3 ways that you can do that. One of them is bless the mess by praying. And I know that you hear that and you're like, oh yes, Father Nick, we hear the whole idea of prayer, but I want you to recognize that you and I can't do it on our own. We can't change the messed up world that we live in. We can't. He can. So when you pray, sometimes it's so easy to talk about what your problems are and what your needs are, but true Christianity is when you can shift from talking about you in your prayer to talking about we in your prayer. Pray like this: God, I just want to be a vessel for you. I just desire to help change this world. That when you came in Bethlehem, you came to save me. Because if you did not come to save me, when I breathe my last breath, it's over. Teleo said, it is finished. But that when you came, you said, you're going to die. That's part of life. But you're going to live eternal with me. So God, I just want to thank you, and I want to be a vessel to make a difference in a messed up world. You came in a mess to bless us. I want to go into that mess and be a blessing to others. Pray the news. Second of all, I want you to bless the mess by getting involved. You know, it's so easy in this world that is all about getting one task done, then going to the next task, to doing the next task. This world will keep you busy. You don't even have to work at it. The world itself will keep you busy. Parents, it will keep you busy trying to raise your children. It will keep you busy jumping from one thing to the next. And many of us, whether we realize it or not, consciously or subconsciously, we take that bait. We take what the world tells us what we need to do. And let me just give you a word of encouragement that God needs you to get involved. Get involved in reading programs that you see in our city. Get involved in opportunities to help homeless people in our community. Get involved in equipping and empowering people to make a difference in this world. You can do that actually right here, because at this church, we're not a membership club. I don't need you to come to church to get a membership or to put some money in a basket. That's not what this church is about. What this church is about empowering, equipping, enabling you to leave this church and have an assignment that God gave you to bless this world. You're not here as some accident. God needs you to get involved. And there are a number of ways to do that in our church. And finally, I want you to bless the mess by looking around you, by being aware of the people that God is putting on your path. This past week, I went to do my Christmas shopping. And I don't know about you men here, but one of the things that I do when I'm Christmas shopping is I got to build myself up to go to the mall. I can't just walk there, park, and go, oh, I'm so excited to be here at the mall at the town center. I got to work myself up like Rocky Balboa about ready to fight Ivan Drago. And so I'm working myself up, getting ready to go. And I go to the town center, and I'm all worked up and ready to go. And I get out of the car, and I'm going to White House Black Market. And those of you may not know what that is, but that's a store that my wife likes clothes from. Everything is black and white. And I fit right in. When I walk in with my collar, it's totally black and totally white. So I walk in there, and let me tell you, I go in there, and there are people everywhere. And I love to be around people, but when I'm shopping, I like to go in, get my item, and leave. There's no opportunity to talk, chatter, just get it done and get out. So I went to White House Black Market, pulled in the driveway, walked into the store. People are everywhere. People are holding hangers. Women are hitting you with the hangers. Men are sitting there. Everyone's just so stressed out. And we get to the line, and I've got an item that I'm going to give. And there is this guy right behind me, and I'm telling you, every time that I would look behind me, he just keeps hitting me with his hanger because he keeps looking at where his wife is. I didn't have my wife with me, but he had his wife with him. And every time that he was going to turn around and say where she's at, he just kept hitting me with the hanger. And I was like, oh my goodness, Nick, just be Christian right now. Be patient. Look at your surroundings. I get to the counter, look at the young lady behind the counter. Her name was Abigail. And I said, how are you doing today? And let me tell you, God bless those who work in the retail business. Let me just say it. But she looked over at me and she just goes, Father, I don't know you at all, but I'm having the worst week of my life. And this guy just kept hitting me with those hangers. And I'm like, and I wanted to kind of engage in a conversation with her, but the guy in the back with the hangers. And I just said to her, we tried to have a conversation, but the guy wouldn't. I said, you know what? I'm just going to pray for you. And I know that might seem kind of silly or cheesy to kind of do that, but when you saw this woman's face, the stress, the mess that she was in, I said, I'm just going to pray for you. And the guy behind me was like going, are you serious? You're going to pray for her right now? Just really kind of rude. And I was about ready to take off the collar and say, all right. But I was just like, okay. I said, I'm going to stand at the end of this aisle, and I'm just going to pray for you. And you can just keep on ringing people up, but I'm just going to sit there and I'm just going to pray for you. And I went over to the side, and this sounds so silly, but I was sitting at that side, and I just started to pray that, God, I don't know what this woman's going through. I have no idea. Because the guy in that line kept hitting me with the hanger, but I really have no idea what she's going through. And I'm sure that the people in that mall were going, and in that store were going, what is this guy doing? But I just kept praying, and I kept looking at her, looking over at me. And then I finished praying, and let me tell you something. She looks over at me, and she just goes, thank you. I feel so much better. How significant 2 minutes of prayer changed the entire day of a young woman at a store. Be aware of your surroundings. I leave you with this. Have you ever wondered why people place lights in their window? Have you ever thought about why people will light a window and put a candle in there? Because there was a tradition during the time of Jesus that when you would go to a hotel, if you saw a candle in the window, you would know that there was a vacancy available, that there was space in the hotel for you. And Joseph, 2,000 years ago tonight, he went to hotel room, and he didn't see a candle in the window. And then, because there was no space in the inn, he chose to be born in a manger. And when you think of a manger, don't think of what you see in the front of people's homes. That's not a manger. Jesus Christ was born in a cave that was used to house sheep when it was raining outside. And they would do everything that you could imagine that one would do in an entire 24-hour schedule in that tomb, in that cave. It smelt awful. It was messy. And tonight, friends, family, my question to you is this: that when you leave church tonight, are you going to have space in the window of your soul for Jesus to work in you and through you to bless the mess of this world? And if you say yes, I just want you to think about this follow-up question: is how are you going to show it to Jesus? Think about this for a minute while we hear an amazing Christmas carol. You see, at the end of the night and at the end of the day, what Jesus desires in you and me is to have everyone sleep in heavenly peace. And I'm encouraging you tonight. God came out of his world into your world to equip your world so that you can change the world. Don't watch from a distance, but work to make a difference. Merry Christmas to all of you. May the blessings of the newborn King who lit all of those sitting in darkness, may he empower you and equip you and strengthen you to bless the mess. God bless you.